are back. It's the Joe Holka Show presented by PrizePicks. Week 15. It's the big show. How we doing? How we doing? I said it earlier this week on Twitter. I think this might be one of the slates where I'm the most confident so far this year, which is always a good feeling. A little bit further ahead. Have a couple friends that are in the DraftKings World Championships today, so hopefully they can run good. Bring home that cool 2.5 million over at DraftKings, actually in Scottsdale, which is pretty fun. So shout out to everyone that's in that today. Wish I was there with you guys, but we're here. We're here to talk through this Week 15 slate. Do have something kind of fun to show you guys. At least it excites me a little bit. Have started to do a few more short form videos for you guys, kind of break down some more PrizePick stuff. A lot of the stuff that you'll see over on Twitter, the giveaways and stuff like that. Wanted to find a really cool way to start to do a little bit more video, which you've probably seen on the YouTube short side. But what I'm excited about is actually we're bringing Instagram back from the dead. So if anyone's watching this right now and hasn't followed over on Instagram, I'm going to start doing some very specific videos only over on Instagram. But what's cool was obviously we're trying a little bit harder on some of these videos now, but this one's almost at 500,000 views, which is really cool to bring an account kind of back from the dead that I wasn't really prioritizing a ton. So I think it'll be cool to start to kind of build some of these PrizePicks things into a video form for you guys, these little bite-sized pieces of content. So make sure you guys follow over on Instagram. It's the same handle as Twitter, at the Joe Holka Show. Probably going to start doing some giveaways over there as well, which will be really fun. But how's the chat feeling about this slate? Are you guys feeling as good about it as I am? There's definitely some decisions to be made, that's for sure. There's definitely some decisions to be made. A Bizzle, I did see that. Had a couple DMs about that, actually. So, yeah, TikTok and all the bots over there, not fun. So if you ever get, this is like across the board. I can't say this clearly enough. If you ever get a DM from me and they're asking something of you, it's not me. It's 100% not me. I'm not going to ask you to get involved in some investment. I'm not going to ask you to click this crypto link. It's just never going to happen. So if you get a DM from me, it's not me. It's definitely not me. The only accounts that I have are at the Joe Holka Show, that exact word. And then that's that. So hopefully that's not grabbing some people. I really don't know how to stop it on TikTok. Instagram just got the verification done. Obviously on Twitter, we have the verification there as well. So my TikTok account is the same as the Instagram account, at the Joe Holka Show. No underscores, none of that crap. Sorry about that, A Bizzle. Appreciate you bringing that up, though. All right. Blaine Mundell, read my last comment. Where was your comment, my man? We got a lot to get through today, though, friends. This is a fun slate. I want to do a little bit more building today. Maybe we build 5 teams instead of 3. We'll see how it's going and how fired up you guys. Jill has the flu, but still here. Appreciate you, Jill. Jill's got her flu game going today. I was sick for what felt like weeks, honestly, so I'm feeling pretty good today. Feeling pretty good. Time to refill the Ember mug and get on the treadmill. We have the Ember mug. Thanks to you guys. I have my second one. Ember mug 2.0 since I threw the other one in the microwave. Don't recommend. Who else is in here? Joe Milk's in here. Joe Milk was the first person I saw in the chat today. Appreciate you, my man. Glad Moss isn't on the slate today. Yeah, I concur, man. I concur. To be fair, I think Moss was probably not as strong a play last week as the week before. But yeah, definitely would have been nice to see him get there for us. Casey Bone's in here. Joey Donnelly's in here. Justin's in here. What's up, Justin? Justin's got all the Noti-Gang emojis in the chat. How we doing? How we doing? Casey Bone, what's up, brother? Who else? Rob Bailey's in here. Mikey Boy, what's up, Mikey Boy? How we doing, man? We already know A Bizzle's in here. Shouting out all the trolls, all the bots. J.R. Heineke, Derek Hill, M. Thompson. How we doing? How we doing? I'm pumped to start doing some multiple sports stuff. I guess that's the other update quickly. NBA planning to start either tomorrow or the next day, depending on if I can get some of the funnel set on the back end. So all the templates, all that stuff takes time, but excited to jump into some NBA. If you're interested in the prop drops for the other sports, NBA, MLB, NHL, we're going to roll those out over time, but you can already sign up to be the first on those email lists. There's a link in the description for all the different sport prop drops if you get in there. We already have almost 500 people on the list for NBA, which is really cool. So I appreciate you guys being there for that. Same amount of giveaways over on Twitter. You guys know the drill here. What we got? Alex Ferreira. Would I ever make an early only lineup? I like playing the small slates, man. We don't talk about it a lot from content because people aren't as interested in that. But yeah, like if you go back to some of the videos that I have pinned on my YouTube channel, some of the more educational, evergreen, like strategy videos, I talk a lot about how there's a big edge in playing the small slates, honestly. Yeah. I don't do it as much anymore as I used to, just from a time perspective. But yeah, if I was really grinding hard and trying to like get as much ROI as possible on some of these lineups, yeah, I think there's definitely an edge in smaller slates. Smaller fields, smaller slates. I like it. I like it. Wit's in here. What's up, Wit? How we doing? How we doing? Lundar. Can't wait to see how many early guys you're willing to take. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Let's jump into our first poll here. Who's going to be the week's highest owned player today? On DraftKings, we got Christian McCaffrey, Antonio Gibson, Kyron Williams, Ezekiel Elliott, Jaden Reed. We got Chig Okonkwo. A lot of running backs in good spots this week, I think is a clear theme right off the bat, right? Right off the bat. But I'm curious what you guys think, who you think is going to be the highest owned player. Cup or Puka Nacua? I actually broke that down in some short form stuff today, so I will, it's top of mind. I'll show you. I'll show you exactly what I'm thinking between those two guys. I think it's actually pretty clear. Seatbelts buckled. The chat is flying today. Appreciate you guys. A lot of votes already. You guys are fired up about the slate, it seems like. Kyron Williams leading the way so far, 40% of the votes. Love it. We did do an anytime TD prop drop this week, which was fun. Had a video for that. So I picked 4 guys that I think will score today. So that would be cool. Believe it or not, that like segment of prize picks and props has actually been the most accurate for me this year. So we're hitting that. Like I haven't taken a ton of those this year. I'm going to start to ramp up the volume just to see if that's some noise. But we're 12-4 right now on those. 75% hit rate on the anytime touchdown stuff. So as you guys are voting, I'll just show you the ones that we took on PropDrop. This went out on Friday, I think. Thursday or Friday? I think Thursday. Took a Deebo Samuel, over a half touchdown receiving or rushing. CD Lamb. Josh Allen, you can get receiving or rushing, which is cool. And then my number one any TD bet of the week is Cooper Kupp. And we'll get into kind of some of the differences between Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Like I said, I think it's kind of clear between those two guys. And you guys will see if you click into some of this stuff, the other newsletters, really easy to subscribe, but there is a link in the description for each of these other sport prop drops as well. So those are the anytime TD prop drops. So what do we think on DraftKings highest owned player? Where are we at here? Are we all kind of in alignment that it's going to be Kyron Williams? Interesting. I think it's going to be like really, really condensed. Like we talked about this with Hodge even earlier in the week. I think like the top running backs, it's going to be basically 4 guys, right? And people are going to pick between like 3 of those. Kyron, Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, Antonio Gibson. I think they're going to get run away with ownership at the running back position. So that's actually a pretty big opportunity because you can still play 1 or 2 of those guys and feel pretty good about what you're getting in your lineup, but also maybe take 1 of those slots and get a little bit different when I think a lot of people are going to play 3 of those 4. So I like it. Locked in that Ben PrizePicks. Jill, you are just a rock star. Appreciate you. D-Hop or Antonio Gibson. Matt, I know you've been here for a long time, my man, so I'm actually going to check that one for you. And we'll talk about Gibson a little bit more. D-Hop has been my kryptonite. You should know that going in. I have taken some unders on him and just gotten absolutely punished for it. Man, it's like legitimately right next to each other in projection. So yeah, I would say D-Hop if you need some more ceiling, Gibson if you need some more floor. It's really not. It's a coin flip, my man, from a points perspective. So what else we got? All right, so I think Kyron Williams leading the way. Let's close this poll. We'll talk more about these running backs. I want to keep this moving so we have more time to build today. We'll get to running back after this poll. Let's do quarterback, though, quickly. Top quarterback play. Price considered. We have a couple expensive guys. Josh Allen at the top, I think, is a decision point. Obviously, Sam Howell, Matthew Stafford, Jordan Love, and Case Keenum. Just like, what do we need from a quarterback that's 4K, right? So threw him on that list. Excited to see what you guys think about this one. Exclamation point vote, space the number in order to place your vote. What do we think about quarterback this week? And we thought we fixed the backgrounds on here, but we didn't. So we're going to switch to full screen and back. Now we have a cool moving black background. Just nicer on the eyes. We have any Streamlabs experts out there? OBS experts? Can anyone tell me why my background just goes black whenever I change scenes? It's like the most tilting thing in the world, and I can't fix it. I have no idea what it was. I revamped a bunch of stuff this week, removed a bunch of the extras I had in here because I thought it was a space thing. Still really tilting. At 4K, Case doesn't have to do much. Justin Mahomes almost made this list, my man. If I would have done 7, he would have been on there. So I think he's definitely in play. I'm with you. No problem, Matt. I see you in here, my man. I notice like these names over and over again that are here with us every Sunday morning. More than enough to just be here, guys. I know we talk about some of the other stuff. I got a lot of stuff going on, right? We're trying to make this a business. We're trying to make this fun. I'm trying to hang out with you guys as much as possible. But it is awesome. These Sunday mornings are just so much fun. So it wouldn't be the same without you guys. We're going to start doing more live streams soon too, which would be cool. I'm pumped for that. It's not like Super Bowl happens. All right, guys, see you in 6 months. Hope you come back. We're going to start to do some more stuff during the off season, which would be cool. You've talked me into it. We went all the way full circle. Used to do every sport, did just NFL for a couple years, and now we're just going to jump back into doing every sport. I can't get enough of this. I'm just a sick person. A-Chain or white? I do like white today, my man. Purdy looks good. Yeah, Purdy, another one that I almost put on this list. I think Purdy from a tournament perspective looks really good. Like if we're just looking pure leverage, there's a few options up there. I know Justin mentioned Patrick Mahomes. I think from leverage perspective, he's up there. I do really like Purdy, though. If that ownership holds, if he ends up being like 12% in some stuff, Purdy at 6,800, I think makes a ton of sense in tournaments. Joe doing live streams and Underdog to start selling merch. Merry Christmas. We'll see, my man. We'll see. The merch stuff is, I go back and forth on merch. One of Andrea's teammates actually made me like a few of these. So I've got like 4 of these hoodies with like some logos on them. But maybe we'll get some merch one day. Never know. Have I leaned into 2 tight end for value? I haven't so far, Joey, but I have messed around with some really gross wide receivers today. I'll say that. Okay, looks like Stafford today is the clear #1 option. You guys are just absolutely in line today with the most important thing is you pick the guy on the thumbnail, right? So all the lighting money on fire Joe Holka thumbnails with Stafford in the background today. I do a bone to pick with anyone in here. I still went live even though we didn't get to 50 likes on this post. I'm trying to get the Twitter people to actually get engaged, to actually get excited. Maybe it's too early for the Twitter people. You guys are the ones that really get it. The ones that are grinding here on a Sunday morning early. Need Great Dane merch? Oh, we might. Yeah, can I get some Madden emojis in the chat? Some Great Dane emojis in the chat? We're actually considering getting a second one. That's how much I love Great Danes. No one cares about my dog. Let's talk quarterback. Stafford with you. Yeah. Just the best matchup possible. We just keep playing quarterbacks against Washington. We keep getting volume. We keep getting some crazy high fantasy production, but very expensive to move it into some like double stacks. We did get over 50 likes. I appreciate you guys listening to me on this. I'm just making sure you guys know we're over there on Twitter. Puka, very expensive. Cup, very expensive. Kyron, obviously in an amazing spot. There's just so much to like in this game. I would not be surprised if some of the mega stacks from that game end up being what you need today. So maybe we'll build a couple of those teams, different iterations of those game stacks. I think that would be fun. But I'm with you guys. Does no one like Josh Allen? It feels like a week where everyone's just gonna like jam themselves into some of these like mid-ranged quarterbacks, and is no one gonna pay up for Josh Allen? You guys get they have to like they basically have to win out, right? Anytime we get like the Josh Allen putting the cape on, just running like a madman. I mean, sign me up for that. 8,200. There's a couple cheaper options we can get to pair with him. I don't know. I think the Josh Allen stuff is really appealing, actually. It's tough to poke holes in that. Obviously, the Cowboys' defense is good. I'm with you on that. But this one was, I mean, probably should have been my favorite anytime TD bet. I think him getting in the end zone on the ground, basically a lock today. That's probably something I have like the most conviction on. Derek loves Josh Allen. Derek's always with me. Derek's too sharp. Actually, Derek's not scared in the chat to call me out, which I can appreciate as well. You guys are more than welcome to tell me when you think I'm wrong. I'm not right. I'm definitely not right all the time. No, I like Josh Allen a lot. He's like one of my favorite quarterbacks on the entire slate. If we're just looking at some of these other guys, I know you guys are kind of locked into Stafford. I'm with you. I'm putting Josh Allen second, and then I think you could probably go a tier down and go like Sam Howell, because again, I'm trying to get as much of that game as possible. I do really like Purdy. I know I didn't put him in this list. I would put Purdy and maybe Jordan Love in a tier below. I don't have as much Mahomes stuff so far. It didn't grade out as well in some of the lineup building stuff that I use, but I'm not scared to mess around with some Mahomes stuff. I'm just pretty locked in at quarterback today. So let's complete that for now, and we'll talk more about that as we go. I think we need to start with running back today though, because this is where the slate is probably going to be won and lost. What do we do with these four guys? So top running back play, price considered. Who is like the number one guy we're prioritizing? We already talked about who's going to be the highest owned. Kyren Williams. Does that mean he's going to be the biggest priority for our lineups? Top running back play, price considered, Christian McCaffrey, Kyren Williams, Ezekiel Elliott. Shout out Zeke. Finally giving away my Ezekiel Elliott helmet. Sad day. Rashad White, Bijan Robinson, Antonio Gibson, or other. Who we like at running back? I should find this. So the guy that I picked for the Ezekiel Elliott giveaway, let's see if I can find this. He is like one of the coolest man caves I've ever seen. Like fully like decked out in Dallas stuff, which was cool. We do have the technology. We could show you guys this. December's been awesome, guys, if you've been paying attention. Bunch of different giveaways. Let's see if we have the... Yeah, here we go. Okay. So FF Coach Dan won the Zeke helmet. He posted a picture of his, here it is, of his man cave, his Dallas man cave. He's got some cutouts here. This is like one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Very cool. So I picked him. There's no randomizing, by the way, in the the giveaways. The way that I choose it is the people that I see consistently posting positive stuff in the comments. That's what it's all about, right? There's a lot of hate on social media, right? Can we just get some people that are willing to hit that notification bell and just like be there like, hey, what's up? I'm here. Noti-Gang. You know what I mean? That's what we're trying to do, at least with Twitter. We'll see if we can accomplish that. But those are the people that are going to win the polls or the giveaways. Hate Dallas, but damn, that man cave is cool. I'm with you. I'm with you. No one is talking about King Henry today. We haven't gone to the leverage portion of the show. But if we're talking like purely like who are like some of the guys that no one wants to play today that could get there, I don't want to ruin it, but it is there's a lot to like. I'll say that's a little bit more expensive. Yeah. Zeke is leading the way in this poll. I actually didn't see this one coming. So Zeke is our top priority today, huh? I was gonna put Zeke just outside of my top tier, but you guys had me like second guessing that a little bit. So my top tier was gonna be Kyren Williams, CMC, and then a break, and then Zeke and Gibson. So my decision point was going to be Zeke or Gibson that gets let off of certain lineups. I'm willing to talk through it though. Catcher AD 99 or 99.99 came and talk. 999 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. Unnecessary, but definitely appreciate it, brother. You have a question, my man? Did I miss your question? Catcher, if you have a question, man, blow it up in the chat. Price considered the Zeke. Okay. DJ Quill. DJ Quill, every time I see your name in the chat, I think about the guy that did our wedding. His name was DJ Aquil. He's actually the one that does a lot of the stuff for the Vikings. Great DJ. I'm just gonna like manifest that you were the DJ at my wedding every time I see your name. Just for the cup fund consider. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. We do have the Ember mug. The Ember mug 2.0 is flowing today. A lot of Zeke stuff. Okay, let's talk about these guys. So here's my Zeke take, at least. I think there is like a decent amount of guys, obviously, in this range. A couple guys that we know what we're going to get, right? I would put Antonio Gibson in that as well. They're going to give us some pass catching. They're probably not going to give us a ton of efficiency. Both of these guys in two of the better game environments, probably. So if we're talking, I mean, I would say for sure, if we're talking pace, Cowboys, Bills, Commanders, Rams, those are the two games, right? Those are the two games that we're focused on. So getting access to those games, I think, makes a ton of sense. We saw the workload, right, with Ramondre out. It's part of the reason we took overs on everything we could with Zeke 2 weeks ago. I think Thursday Night Football. We took receptions, fantasy points. I think we took rushing plus receiving. I can't remember what it was, but we had like every ladder possible with Zeke, which was cool. And he's still 5,800, so I get it from a price perspective. Zeke versus Antonio Gibson is the thing that we got to probably talk through, though, right? I don't think that, like, I'm not super worried about like the matchup or anything. Because like if we're trying to get into those two games, we're trying to get in, like, that's what I'm trying to, the point I'm trying to make is if we're trying to get into Dallas and Buffalo, Commanders at Rams, that doesn't mean that like we're avoiding, like, I don't think that the Chiefs is a bad matchup in particular for Zeke. I still think it's fine. It's more of a volume thing, right? Are we just attacking Patriots players in general? Probably not, but this is a volume thing with Zeke. We just got to plug our nose, and getting to this price point allows us to get into those two games, right? So if you want to just get into one of those games for a little bit cheaper, Antonio Gibson, I still think is right there. I know a lot of people didn't vote for him in the chat, but no Brian Robinson, that hamstring injury, obviously. Really strong game environment. Still think that he's going to get the bulk of the work on the ground and through the air. You really need him to get there through the air, though. This is one of the ones that I took with PropDrop as well. I did take his rushing. I'm feeling a little bit queasy about that one now. After looking into this a little bit more yesterday and this morning, we ended up taking the rushing for Gibson, mostly just from a volume perspective, and I thought this line was too low, 34.5. I think it's still pretty decent. Let's see if where's that move to? You guys will see some of the stuff. I take all the bets I post, for the record. Let's see where this is at for Gibson. I'm curious where that's moved. Make me feel better. 39.5. We got a couple yards of value, so not the worst thing in the world. This is the rest of the card for the main slate. We took a CD Lamb over, Bijan Robinson over, McBride over, Antonio Gibson over, Puka Nacua. We'll get to that. We'll get to Puka. I don't want to ruin this, but I do like the Gibson stuff just from a volume perspective. I think that he's gonna have to get there with pass catching and through the air, though. 34.5 rushing yards, I think still feels okay, but I kind of wish I would have taken the combination looking at it again. It bumped right away like 5 yards after you posted it. I always feel bad when that happens. Like there's been a couple times, Catcher, where I've sent out the newsletter. Newsletter eats first, by the way. I guess we do have. I'm not going to ruin that. I have another special poll for you guys at the end. But I always feel bad. Like we had a couple times a line just get completely pulled after I posted it, which I hate because I'm only posting things that I have taken and I have receipts, right? Because the people will let you know if they can't get a bet, they will let you know in the comments. I have receipts for everything I've ever posted. I have receipts, lines, and that it's actually in existence and not pulled. Okay. Zeke and Gibson, I think we can talk through a little bit more. Do we need to touch on Christian McCaffrey? Probably not. I know last week wasn't the best thing in the world, but I mean, he almost got in the end zone in the first play, right? Wasn't that last week? Was that the week before? You just really need him to get in the end zone multiple times, probably. But against this Cardinals team, he just went absolutely nuclear against them already this year. I think he was over 50 points in that game. So 9,300. McCaffrey is a priority. There's not much more to say on that. Kyron Williams, this is the one where Again, we're trying to get into this game. The Rams are just historically a backfield that we want to have access to because they're willing to just give all of the work to one guy typically through the air and on the ground, all the value touches around the goal line, all of that stuff. And Kyron's looked pretty good after coming back from that injury. So totally comfortable going to him. Rashad White, mostly just a role thing, right, with him. Bijan Robinson, this is the one that I wish people were a little bit more excited about. Reeves talked about it quite a bit on the matchups video. And again, we talk about just like tailing Reeves a little bit at the end of the year when things start to settle with data. He's a little bit more data-driven, matchup-driven. What's there not to like about Bijan, guys? So where's his ownership right now? Bijan is looking like 10%. I think Bijan is one of my favorite plays on the entire slate. So I'm talking about if we're trying to play two of those top four, the McCaffrey, the Kyrons, the Zekes, the Antonio Gibsons. If I'm taking one of those guys out, one of the guys that I'm trying to get in is Bijan Robinson at 6,800. Scored 5 times in his last 6 games. We finally have that end zone role secured. Like he's getting all the work. Panthers are just giving it up to running backs as well from a touchdown perspective, right? Probably should have went with one of the overs for the anytime touchdowns for Bijan as well. There's just so much to like here about this spot for him. Yeah, he's one of my favorite plays. I obviously took the over on his fantasy points. A big part of that is because I think that he gets in the end zone today and is active in the passing game and gets there on receptions as well. So really like the Bijan stuff. There wasn't a ton on PrizePicks on like the yardage that made sense, but do think the fantasy points looks really good. Big Rod's with me. Love Bijan and White if they can score similar to Kyron and McCaffrey. Yeah, I'm with you. Casey Bone loves Bijan too. Okay, fair enough. No one wants to vote for him as the best play, but he's on the radar. That's all I wanted to know. That's all I wanted to know. Okay, cool. Let's keep this moving because in order to get in these running backs, we're gonna have to find some wide receivers that we like today, right? But before we get to the cheaper ones, I do run this poll every week just because I think it's interesting. If we're trying to like find a lot of leverage, a lot of times it can be in some of these high-priced wide receivers. Is there any of these guys, like if you had to choose one of these guys to jam in lineups today, top elite wide receiver play, and by elite, I just mean priced up near the top, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp. Who is it? Cough still hasn't completely gone away. Sneaks up on me. Top elite wide receiver play today. We only got 30-some votes on the last one. We got almost 400 people in here. Let's try and get some of these up to closer to 30, 40, maybe 50. I know some of you guys are just chilling there, watching on your phone, probably laying in bed, hungover. I'm the opposite of hungover today. Absolutely wired. Day 47, 75 hard. Who's counting, though? We're getting there. My wife keeps telling me to post a before and after picture. That just makes me so uncomfortable. Maybe. Your boy hasn't looked this good since the college hockey days. And it's freezing in Minnesota, so no one gets to see it. On that note, what's the top wide receiver play today? Sub-only vote. Hungover lives matter. Yes, they do. That's why you're here. I'm trying to help you through it. Let's get you some lineups today to sweat it when you're laying on the couch. That's the play. Lowest owned of those 4, Derek Hill. Good question. Does that ruin the poll if I tell you guys that? I mean, Tyreek is the lowest owned for sure, but he does have the Q tag, right? He does have the Q tag. Ankle injury, Tyreek Hill. Game time decision as well, right? We didn't talk through a lot of news. Second lowest Stephon Diggs of this group, by the way. In terms of news, Brandon Cooks was sick, but he is expected to play. Michael Wilson has a neck injury, not really in play, but expected to play. Marquise Brown in that game expected to play again with that heel injury. He does not look right, in my opinion. Chris Olave, ankle, not expected to have his availability determined until pregame warmups. That's rough. That's rough. Noah Brown expected to play, knee injury. Nico Collins not expected to play with a calf injury. We'll talk about Case Keenum at some point too. Not a ton of other news to talk about. Do I think Olave will play? Anytime it's like a guy has to test it in pregame, it makes me a little bit nervous. But there's hope. That's part of the reason that I liked the McBride over, by the way, 49.5 on the McBride over. Their team is just so banged up. And I still think that Kyler's in a decent spot today. We took Kyler or George Kittle to score a touchdown today. McBride, tougher matchup against San Francisco, but I think the volume will be there. So 49.5 was the number. A lot of Cooper Kupp love. Okay, is it time to talk about Cooper Kupp? Have we made it here? I think we've made it to the Cooper Kupp portion of this. So let me give you the bull case on Cooper Kupp. Obviously the matchup, but here's the thing. Looks 100% healthy. Scored in back-to-back games. We know the Commanders pretty much give it up everywhere. But where do they give up touchdowns specifically? Anyone in the chat? Where do the Washington Commanders give up touchdowns? More than anyone else in the league, where do they give up touchdowns? 10.1% touchdown rate to this area of the field. It's in the slot. It's in the slot. They give up a lot of touchdowns to the slot. So we did take a Cooper Kupp over on receiving or rushing touchdowns on the Anytime TD video. However, we took an over on Puka Nacua over 67.5 receiving yards. That one is currently at 69.5, so it's moved up a little bit. But here's the reason I took the Puka Nacua yardage. He plays a lot more outside snaps than Kupp. Where does Washington give up yards? Washington is allowing a league-high 140 yards per game to outside wide receivers. Shout out Rich Rebar in the worksheet. I think Kupp gets in the end zone. I think Puka goes nuclear from a yardage perspective. That's my take. I like both of those guys. I'm going to build lineups probably with both. It doesn't mean that Kupp can't have a big yardage game. It doesn't mean Puka can't score. I'm just saying the way that the matchup lines up is I think Puka yardage is a really strong bet, and I think the touchdown bet for Kupp makes a ton of sense. And we know where the ball's going, right? So unless Kyren comes in and takes all the touchdowns, which could happen, that's the way I see this. Both go crazy, but Kyren gets all the T's. That could happen. That's how I'm justifying this, right? So if you're that's actually one of the main arguments I think for playing both of these guys or finding a way to play Puka and Kupp is then you don't really care who gets the touchdowns through the air, right? You just hope it's one of them, and you hope some of the yardage. I mean, you honestly don't care as much about the yardage either. You just need both these guys to amount to a decent score, and I think Puka contributes a ton from a yardage perspective. So that's my take. Wouldn't be shocked if Puka gets over the bonus today. I hope that's helpful. I know on this poll in particular, CD Lamb, 28% of the vote. Love CD. I took another over on CD this week. Last week he missed the fantasy points line by we basically got the hook on that, less than a half a point. 18 fantasy points is that line, but let me give you the CD bull case here. He's found the end zone 5 straight games. Again, this is something I'm trying to pay a little bit more attention to, and Reeves has talked me into this as well. Where do the Bills give up touchdowns? Where do the Bills struggle to defend? It's in the slot, guys. They're 28th in the NFL at defending the slot. CD Lamb obviously spending a ton of time in the slot and running a ton of routes there. So CD Lamb over 18 fantasy points. I still feel pretty good about that, even though those ones are kind of scary, right? Those like high fantasy points, like he's going to have to get in the end zone. We do have a touchdown prop on him as well. We are very leveraged on CD Lamb today, scoring and getting over 18 fantasy points. So hopefully he can get there. 3rd in the NFL in receptions. He's right there with touchdowns as well. I think he's 4th in the NFL. Massive blow up spot for him, in my opinion. Just based on where he's being used and what we think this game is going to do from a pace and total perspective. So yeah, I'm with you guys. Love CD, very expensive. Good question, Jill. I think Dak is okay. You guys are just teeing me up for all the prop drop stuff. So the way too early prop drop. I'm just going to start going over some of the stuff a little bit more. So the way too early prop drop, I did take an under on Dak Prescott, 295.5 passing yards. This Buffalo defense has only allowed one quarterback to exceed 300 yards in their last 5. Dak has fallen short of this in 3 of his last 4. If we're just looking at this Dak line since then, let's see, 272. So ton of value here. I'm not taking it, for the record, I'm not taking a ton of these demon ones yet. I want to experiment with this a little bit. So you get like a better multiplier if you're willing to take a higher number. You get a less multiplier if you're willing to take a safer number. I'm still sticking with the basic PrizePicks stuff. So basically, if you haven't signed up for the newsletter, the way too early send, this one's still clipping at a 72% win rate so far this year. It's our highest win rate. And these go out on Wednesday. So you would have gotten 295.5 passing yards under for Dak. Now the line is at 272.5. Crazy amount of value just getting some of these lines in early. I can't talk about this enough. So there's a link in the description for that if you guys want to get that sent right to your email. They go out on Twitter and some other places as well, but the email eats first. The newsletter eats first. I'm still not sure what the tagline is going to be for that. But yeah, to answer your question, I like Dak, and I think he's fine. A little bit worried maybe about the yardage, but I think from efficiency perspective, he's still one of the ones that we're prioritizing. Blaine, your prop drop has made me cash. Thank you. Appreciate you. Can anyone talk about the weather yet? It is 47 minutes into the stream. No one has talked about weather. Cash the over on weather today. You guys are too sharp. Cash your HD. Weather today. It's actually worse than last week, if I'm being completely honest. So the good news is it's in some games that we're not necessarily that focused on. The Chicago at Cleveland game, we've got the Jets at Miami. Both of those ones look like there's going to be some wind in kind of the 15 to 20 mile per hour range. That's kind of where we want to start to avoid things, if I'm being honest. The Carolina game, 15 mile per hour with gusts. But we don't have a ton in that game that we really like either. I would say keep an eye on the Buffalo game. It looks like it's going to be just fine, mostly just rain. So I'm not that worried about the Dallas at Buffalo spot, but something to keep in mind. Scattered showers in a couple of these other games, but nothing really to be too concerned about on the main slate, at least. But yeah, cash your overs. I think we probably set the line on 30 minutes into the stream if someone brings up weather. But we made it. We made it. Cash your overs. We fading the Dolphins today. Tyreek Hill has been kind of the engine for them, right? So I think it comes down to what you think about Tyreek Hill and the health of his ankle. That's like one of the Tyreek Hill arguments for MVP is this team just kind of falls apart without him. Tougher spot as well. So obviously one of the better defenses they're going against. So let's close this poll. So this is, I'm with you guys on Cup. I said my piece about Puka, but who is our top non-elite wide receiver play today? If you had to choose one, price considered. This is a sub-only vote. If you're just watching this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you get involved in the polls. That's the fun part of this. We're doing this together. It's collaborative. Rashee Rice, Puka Nacua, Jaden Reed, Garrett Wilson, Demarcus Robinson, Terry McLaurin, or other. Who is our favorite non-elite wide receiver play today? What are you guys thinking? What are we thinking at wide receiver? The people in the comments asked me to recap some of the stuff a little bit more. So as of now, quarterback, I do think the top tier, Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen. Seems like I like Josh Allen a little bit more than the chat. So take that for what it's worth. Do really like Sam Howell, a tier below that. And then I would probably put like Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes, and Purdy in like that third tier at quarterback. Running back, Christian McCaffrey, Kyron Williams are in a tier of their own for me at the top. Still kind of considering which of Ezekiel Elliott and Antonio Gibson I'll be leaving off of some teams, though I think they're cheap enough that they make some lineups work. The volume will be there. I really like Bijan Robinson today. We didn't talk a lot about Derrick Henry, but I do think that he's one of the better leverage options on the slate. He's very expensive. He doesn't actually, well, I guess for kind of what he's given us this year, 6,900 isn't that bad. You'll probably get him about 10% ownership. I do like that one. I think that you could still make an argument for either Saquon or Kamara as better leverage, but they're also more expensive. So I didn't put them on the list, but if we're just looking for pure leverage, I think that's it at the running back position. Wide receiver, I think I'm with you guys that if we can get up to CD, he's in a great spot. Don't be scared of that Buffalo defense. They give it up to the slot. And then, yeah, we like Cooper Kupp at the top, of course. But this is the area of the wide receiver range that we have to get right today, I think. Family man, appreciate you, man. Thanks for dropping in. Who would I consider the best cash play at wide receiver? I don't play any cash anymore, if I'm being completely honest with you. So take this for what it's worth. But if we're just talking purely from a value perspective, from a price perspective, I do think it's probably Jaden Reed at 4,900. Yeah, I think he'll be on 90% of cash teams today. Maybe that. I don't know. I don't know what ownership looks like from cash. It's like 75% high. Let me rephrase that. If you're not playing Jordan Reed or Jaden Reed in cash, I think you're probably doing it wrong. Is Keenum worth playing, or is that just silly? I've gone back and forth on that. 4K, what does he need? Just like 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he's there? This is a slate where we want to get up to some of these studs. I actually don't hate it. I don't hate the pay down quarterback today. Maybe we'll build a Keenum team. What am I bringing back on Stafford lineups today? Good question. I like Curtis Samuel quite a bit. I like Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's the one that like pops as like being just like kind of undervalued based on his usage. He's harder for people to click, I think, because Samuel's gotten there for us. I think that Doxson's there. Like that's the problem, right? Gibson's probably the one that the projections will like the most. I kind of like the upside of like a Terry McLaurin bring back still. I'm a purist. Yeah, Reed is the chalk. Can't confirm. Sam Howell does spread out the ball. It's very difficult to stack him. Debo. We did take a Debo anytime touchdown prop. Shout out to us. I would love to see him get in the end zone today. Okay, Jaden Reed, Puka Nacua. I talked to you guys into some Puka. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. No one likes Rashee Rice today? Is he too expensive for you guys? 6,100? What do we think about Rashee Rice? 6,100. I put him at the top of the poll and no one is biting. Rashee Rice is still going to be owned, right? Am I crazy? Yeah, he's going to be like 20% or higher in small field. We just don't want the Chiefs' #1 wide receiver. He's playing like basically the same amount of snaps as Kelsey at this point. We haven't really seen Watson emerge. I think that they've like finally started to give some trust to this guy. The price is getting to a point where it's a little bit tougher. I don't think he's a lock by any means, but I do think he's a guy we should be considering at 6,100. Blaine, thank you so much for that super chat, my man. Did you have a question? Feel free to drop in a question, friends. Appreciate those super chats, though. Thank you so much. Onslaught and KC in a lineup today. Interesting, Justin. Okay, Michael's on Rice. I'm not crazy. A bit too pricey for how volatile KC receivers are. I kind of agree with that, but also like his role seems to have stabilized a little bit. Thanks, Blaine. Appreciate you, man. That'll be tomorrow's coffee money. What a guy. Appreciate you. Oh, speaking of Christmas presents, I sent this, there was a guy at my wedding. I found the best gift for kids, like ages from like 1 to 2. I'm going to show this at the end because that's the real hack right now, right? Like, this is where we're at. We're talking about Christmas gifts, but I'm going to send this to myself so that I can show you guys. It's unbelievable. I have no skin in the game on this, but every single kid that we've sent this to, we got this for our goddaughter. We got this for our nephew, loved it. So one of my best friends had a kid about a year ago, so I sent it to him, and I'm going to show it to you guys if I can get this email to myself, because speaking of Christmas gifts, one of the best things you can do if you're looking for like a kid gift in that range, just email it to myself. I'll drop this somewhere where you guys can see it. What's up, Noel? Appreciate you, Noel. 1999 super chat. Good morning, man. Noel, what are you on today, my man? Appreciate you, Blaine. Random, what's my Christmas week schedule? I've not figured that out yet, Lundar. I wish I had that planned as far in advance as I should, but I have not. Rice being the only one who could get a catch, yeah. We do like Rice. If he's too expensive, I hope that like limits his ownership a little bit. You guys want to see this GIF really quick that I'm talking about? So this is, it's a ball pit on Amazon. It's unbelievable how much these kids love these things. Relatively cheap, durable, all this stuff, but like it's the look on this kid's face. Like, this is enough for me to just buy like 6 more of these for all my friends that are finally like kind of having like 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds at this point. Unbelievable. So shout out to the kids out there on Christmas. I got a bone to pick with my buddy Jim though. This is supposed to be a Christmas gift. He sends me this picture yesterday. We're just letting kids open Christmas presents on the 17th, the 16th of December. What a guy, man. I had all these hopes of just like getting a nice picture of his kid in the ball pit on Christmas morning, just get the vibes up. What a world. Very cool though. Get one of those. Yeah, I should find the brand, but I don't care. Message me somewhere. I'll try and send you. You'll be able to find it just by looking at that. You'll be able to find it. Just type in ball pit on Amazon. Balls going everywhere. Yeah, but they love it, man. It's crazy. They can like head first into it. It's cool. Okay. What are we talking about? DFS. Okay, cool. Sweet. We talked a little bit about the cheaper side of this. Do we have to talk about Jaden Reed? Probably not. Like you said, I think 4,900, just way too cheap for this role. Just getting like rush attempts, like more of like that Debo Samuel type of role that we really like. Christian Watson's still out. The volume, 4,900, just way too cheap. So Rashid Rice, I still think is like up there, even at that price. Maybe I like him a little bit more than you guys. We talked about Puka being in a really good spot from a yardage perspective. Still like Cup to get in the end zone, but these outside wide receivers just getting absolutely shredded from a yardage perspective against the Commanders like that. No votes basically for some of these other guys. Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, Demarcus Robinson. You guys are just locked in to some of these guys at the top, it seems like. Interesting. That's the play, Blaine. Grandbaby gifts. No reason for wrapping paper. That's fair. Zach Wilson, anytime interception. That's sharp, Chris. That's sharp. Let's keep this thing moving. We'll talk more about some of these other wide receivers when we're building. I think from like a leverage perspective, we're still kind of looking at some of these same names that are a little bit more expensive. We'll see if Olave ends up being able to go, but no one's going to play him with that uncertainty. Seems like no one wants to play Mike Evans at 7,500. Still think he's a decent leverage option today. Drake London. Are we going back to Drake London against Carolina? No one is. But don't hate that idea if we're trying to get some lower owned stuff. If we're trying to back into this Dallas game, I still think CD, if he ends up being like lower than 15%, you can feel pretty good about that. Brandon Cooks at 5,200. I don't think anyone's going to play him. I don't think anyone's going to play Gabe Davis in that game either at 5,500. So there's options to back into that Dallas and Buffalo game for a little bit cheaper and still get some leverage. For sure. Adam Thielen, 6,300. Like the Thielen-London mini stacks. I don't hate that because both of those guys are going to be literally 0% owned. So we could go that direction. Running back, we talked about leverage being some of the more, I think realistically, Kamara, Saquon, they look pretty good from an ownership perspective. Derrick Henry, 6,900, a little bit cheaper, still sub 10%. Quarterback, I don't know how much leverage there is at quarterback, but it's probably paying up for either Mahomes or Dak from the leverage side. Like I said, if I'm paying up for Josh Allen today. Grammy Chris, love the newsletters. Great stuff. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. We have newsletters for every sport now. Link in the description if you're a basketball fan. We got almost 500 people on that list already, which is crazy. And then we're going to start rolling these out little by little. Hockey, baseball once baseball starts. We're all in on the props. PropDrop's going to be a big part of that. 450 people here right now. So before we move on to tight end and build some teams, I should do at least one victory lap. Let you guys know that we're starting to create more content over on Instagram again. So make sure you guys follow me over there at the Joe Holka Show. The reason I'm doing a victory lap, we have a video that's almost at 500,000 views. So that's pretty cool. That's enough fire for me. That's enough dopamine for me to want to keep creating some of these shorter videos for you guys with some of the different props that we're taking. So this will be fun. This is the way too early one. This obviously is always going to come to the newsletter first, but fun to make some videos and fun to get almost 500,000 views. So we're building up Instagram again. So make sure you guys follow over there. Twitter's where all the giveaways are still, of course, but I like making videos and I like giving you guys some of the bite-sized information from a betting perspective too. These backgrounds are just driving me nuts. All right, let's close out this poll. Let's complete it. Let's talk through tight end quickly, and then we'll start to build some teams. Travis Kelce, Trey McBride, Chigakonkwo, Tucker Kraft, George Kittle, or other. Who is our top tight end play today? Price considered. What are we thinking? I found your profile through IG ads. Thankful for that anytime TD one. No way. You found me on IG, Grimy? That actually makes me super happy because I didn't know that was a thing. I thought most people were finding me on YouTube these days or maybe Twitter. That's sweet. Is there anyone here that found us through the newsletters? I've done like some cross promotions on some other ones. Not sure if they work. Big Rod thinks tight end decides the slate today. That could be. For tight end to decide the slate, you really need a separator, right? And there's definitely some guys that can probably get us there from a ceiling perspective on this slate, right? We've got Travis Kelce, George Kittle at the top. I mean, we could put Trey McBride up there too at 5,200. I still think he's got a ceiling that can compete with those guys. We did take an over on Trey McBride. It's not a great matchup, but 49.5 receiving yards was way too low earlier in the week. No tight end has been targeted at a higher rate per route run this season. Again, shout out Rich Rebar and the worksheet. Line is way too low. Laporta was something. Yeah, shout out to us on Twitter. We did take the Laporta over. Oh, I should say this. I wasn't watching. I was actually driving at the moment that Michael Pittman got hurt yesterday. I feel so bad about this. I tweeted something out about us hitting the over. I had no idea that he got severely hurt. People were all over me for good reasons in the comments. So just know that I didn't do that on purpose. We're not victory lapping people getting hurt or anything like that. I was just excited that we hit the over. I was driving, sitting at a stoplight, see that we went over on the yardage when no one wanted us to take the yardage yesterday. So well wishes to Pittman. Apologies to anyone that thought I was victory lapping an injury. Would never do that. But yeah, 3 for 4 yesterday. Russell Wilson doesn't get there on the rushing side of things for us, but we did have the over on fantasy points for Laporta yesterday, 11.5. Crushed that, I think, at the end of the first quarter, which was cool. But yeah, these are our last 10 bets, 7 for 10 over the last 10. Pretty good. Pretty good. Michael Pittman. Yes, the emojis, the sad emojis. I'm sorry to the people that were very triggered by that. It was not on purpose. We did take an under on Javonte Williams as well yesterday, which was cool. What else? What else? All right, let's jump into, yes, I agree, probably one of the most important things. Trey McBride, I still think that he's going to be in my top tier at the position today. I feel pretty good about that. Cardinals coming off a bye. I think that the game script's in their favor, all of those things. But if we want to go a little bit cheaper, I kind of like Tucker Kraft at 3K. So he's looked pretty decent. And from like a usage perspective, the matchup is good. This Bucs team, like realistically, is he's giving it up a ton through the air, tight ends included. So like Tucker Kraft at 3K. I think if we're going to bucket these guys, to me, it's still Trey McBride. If we're going to be paying up, I think it's like Tucker Kraft in the middle and maybe Chigakonkwo kind of in that mid-range. Kittle, I think, is still a little bit of a wild card. I did take the anytime TD prop for a Kittle receiving or rushing plus Kyler. So if Kyler gets in the end zone on the ground, we hit that one. It's one of those combo ones that are pretty fun. But so like I'm bullish on Kittle. I'm just not sure if I'll get there at that price in DFS, if that makes sense. That hit was definitely vicious, Michael. I felt really bad, but yeah, people will let you know if you do something that is over the line. On purpose or not on purpose. Jeez. Okay. We're all over the place at tight end. So that's my take, though. I think if we're going to Okonkwo, really good spot, still a pretty good price for him, I think, at 2,900. Like both of these guys, right? Kraft and Okonkwo. That's my pay down options today. McBride, wow, he's actually gonna be way higher owned than I thought. 5,200, and he's gonna be almost 25%. Is that true? Okay, so McBride is not unique at all. I thought paying up a little bit for McBride this week would be a thing. Apparently not. Jeez. Okay, so everyone is going to play McBride. No one's playing Kelce and Kittle. Good to know. Good to know. What do I think about Darren Waller coming back? He's not probably in my pool at 4,400 with these guys at 3K and 2,900 that we have. Why are we not talking about the San Francisco wide receivers? I don't have a ton of interest in Ayuk. I still think it's probably a Debo game. Again, took an over on Debo rushing or receiving touchdowns. He scored a touchdown in 3 straight games. Cardinals play a ton of zone defense. highest rate in the league, actually. And that's where Samuel's been targeted the most. Shout out Rich Rebar, the worksheet. 39.4% of his routes have been against cover 4 this year. So really like Debo. We took that one early in the week. The Debo stuff looks pretty nice. What's Debo's ownership settling at right now? Oh, we got sub 10% Debo? Yeah, I really like that. Let's close this poll out. Let's get to a fun one. Favorite game stack today? What lineup do we want to build? I added like basically every game on the slate because I think it's going to be pretty wide open. Washington at LA. This is in order of game totals, by the way. Washington at LA, Dallas at Buffalo, San Francisco at Arizona, Tampa Bay at Green Bay, New York Giants at New Orleans Saints, Chicago at Cleveland, KC at New England, New York Jets at Miami. What are we on? What do we want to build first here? Gibson or Rice in the flex? Those are the type of questions, Robert. It's totally dependent on what the rest of your team looks like, my man. The texture of every lineup should be different based on what else is in it. Do have some new subscribers today. Shout out AT Smith. What else? What else we got here? What else did I miss? Daniel Kimura. What's up, man? Wes subscribed today. What's up, Wes? How we doing? Jamie's in here. Devin P subscribed. Jeremy Delby, Eddie O'Brien. Are these just all the Instagram people coming over to the live streams? Welcome in. A lot of Washington, LA love. Let's get so we got 436 people in here right now. Let's try and get these ones in particular up to at least 40 votes, right? Let's figure out if we're actually building the lineups that people want to see. The games that people want to see, I should say. We'll build 3 of them for sure. We will get start, though, with a Washington LA one. I will give you guys that. So this becomes a very important poll. Stafford or Howell? Who do we want at quarterback here in this first lineup? Very important poll. Michael Taylor, I got you, my man. I got you. I love the Madden emoji in there. Good stuff. We are going to get some other stuff going in multiple sports. I'm excited for it. Really want to see what a Fields Moore lineup looks like with some chalk. Interesting. Yeah, just getting different with your stack and then jamming in some chalk around it. I like that strategy. Garrett was asking about Kelsey. I think Kelsey's fine, but now that I'm just completely screwed up by McBride becoming so chalky, yeah, those guys become a little bit more intriguing from a leverage perspective for sure. Bench Press Boss signed up for the email. My man. Looks like a Stafford team here first. Maybe we'll build 2. Okay. Let's get Stafford in there. This is going to go in the slant. Okay, we got Stafford. We didn't talk much about defense. Pretty clear at the top, I think. The Browns, best play on the board. They're also pretty expensive at 3,500, right? I think you can make an argument for the Rams at 3,100. If we wanted to go down a little bit, it's probably Jets, I think, especially, and then you're just kind of erring on the side of Tyreek's not completely right. There ends up being a good amount of volume of plays in this game, and we just get some turnovers. So I'm going to use Jets as my placeholder for now. I also think that Falcons are okay. They're a little bit more expensive at 3,600. I think I prefer the Browns at that range, but let's throw the Jets in there. Do we want to build a double here? Stafford's going to be way over-owned for GPPs. So that means we got to get weird on this one, Brent. We got to figure out a way to get different on this one. Doesn't mean you can't play Stafford. It means you can't play Stafford with a ton of chalk around it, you know? Just for sure, Miami out their entire O-line. Good call. Okay. I still think that this team, let's try and do a double. Let's do a premium double to start here. So let's figure out what the bring back should be on the other side. So if we're just talking Washington on the other side, what do we want to prioritize here? I mean, I don't think this team should have Gibson, 37% owned, roughly 30, like this close to 40. We could, I think the other guys are a little bit more palatable. I think this could be like a Dachshund team, 4,700. Like realistically, the ceiling pretty similar to like these other guys, Samuel McLaurin, because no one wants to touch him because he's 4,700. What do you guys feel about that? That should help a little bit. Everyone wants Samuel in the chat. We're going to build another one of these, though. No one likes Dotson. Makes me want to play Dotson. Rams give up a ton to tight ends. We could go Logan Thomas. I like the idea of a tight end bring back. There's so many options here, guys. That's the thing. Okay, a lot of Thomas in the chat. Okay, fair enough. You guys have overridden me. Let's go Thomas. I think that's just a really good roster construction move in general, bringing it back with the tight end. So if Thomas ends up getting some of the touchdowns, you're in a really good spot. Okay, so 5,600 the rest of the way. We're probably not getting CMC on this team. That much we know. We're probably not playing Antonio Gibson on this team. That much we know. We could play Gibson and Thomas together and just really overstack this game. Or we end up getting in like a Zeke on this. What do you guys think? Let's start with let's see what happens when we put Zeke in here. Turns out you can't type in Zeke. 5,600 the rest of the way. We need some leverage here now, friends. We need some leverage here now. I don't think Kyron. I just want to stick to the premium double, I think, with this one. We could go to our Drake London, Adam Thielen mini probably, if we wanted to go that direction. What else do we like at wide receiver for leverage? We said Debo, right? 7,700. I just don't know if we can make that work on this one. Ooh, Bijan. I like the idea of that too. Zeke is more chalk than Gibson. Fair. We still might get Gibson on this team, Joy. What happens if we get Bijan in here? If we put in Gibson, 4,900. Is this unique enough if we get really weird at this last slot? What do you guys think? Like 4,900, most people are just going to slam in Jayden Reed, right? We could just add to this mega stack and get Dachshund or Samuel in there if we wanted to. Or we just get real weird with like a Rashid Shaheed, Elijah Moore. I think that's the tier. Maybe Dontavian Wicks in this one if we wanted to get some Green Bay in there. Demario Douglas at 3,900. Like there's some options here. I think if we are having this much salary though, I don't hate the idea of like a Shaheed here. People are saying Dotson. A.T. Perry if Olavi's out. Fair. Wandale, okay. Shaheed. I kind of like the Shaheed idea, being honest. We want ceiling. We want low ownership. We want something ideally in the beginning of the slate. I think that's fine. We could do that. Reed is the one that probably feels the most comfortable, for sure. Elijah Moore should be a great play this week. Yeah, I think Elijah Moore against Chicago is interesting. I still think like him versus Shaheed is very close. But I think for this like type of play, we want to just have something pretty low owned that gives us a bunch of upside. So let's go with Shaheed in this last player. That gives you a bunch of room to move things around if you want and actually add in something. If you didn't want to go Shaheed, you could just throw in the mega stack here and go Dotson on the other side too, and just hope that this game just goes absolutely nuclear. You got Bijan in there for a little bit of differentiation. This is probably a better build for a smaller field tournament, but still like it quite a bit. Okay. Let's close this poll. Let's build another one of those. Let's build a Howl side of that. You guys good with that? Build a Howl team quickly. Or do you guys want to move on to a different game? Let's see what you guys think. We'll just run the same poll. What do we want to build next? We can build another Washington LA team. We can build one of these other ones. I'll leave it up to you guys. What we thinking? What we thinking? We'll build 2 more teams. Some Dallas Buffalo love in here. Ooh. We could build our Josh Allen team. Brock Lesnar, I mean Purdy. Craig's silly today in the chat. We are very spread out on what game we want to build here, friends. Let's get some more votes then. 17 votes, almost 400 people in here. Let's make sure we're building the teams you guys actually want to see. We're spending some time here, right? So. San Francisco, Arizona, Dallas, and Buffalo neck and neck in the poll right now. Purdy and Howell stacks. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Are folks scaling down their play due to sweating best ball teams? Having your sweats all in one spot, there's definitely some value there. I have some friends that are in the DraftKings World Championship today in Scottsdale. 2.5 million to first, which is wild. And yeah, I don't think I'd be playing anything else or sweating anything else but that besides those teams if I was them. A Keenum stack. We should build a Keenum stack. Maybe we build a Keenum stack last. Or a Keenum let's build a super roster around Keenum at some point. Yeah. Okay, Dallas Buffalo. Let's do this. Let's close this poll out, complete it. And then from a quarterback perspective, you guys vetoed my Sam Howell idea. That's fine. All right. Do we want Dak or Josh Allen on this team? You guys know how I feel about Josh Allen. Much more difficult to stack. We could do something kind of weird. We could do like a Josh Allen and then stack up the Dallas side if we really wanted to. The tilt space emoji. Michael, I haven't seen that one in a while. The emojis are fun. I wish I could set the membership to lower. I think 99 cents is the lowest I could do. We want Love or Howell starting today. I prefer Howell of those two, Brandon. All right, we got Josh Allen. Let's do it. These backgrounds. Someone save me in my ineptitude with OBS. Okay. Josh Allen. This is so frustrating. It's really going to do this to me. I'm making you guys go crazy with these scenes. Sorry. Okay, we got it. Sorry, that's just bugging me. Josh Allen, what next? Let's put just like our placeholder Jets D in here, 2,500. A good defense, very cheap. Offensive line messed up in Miami. Tyreek Hill banged up. I still really like that. What do we want to do with Josh Allen is the question, right? Ferguson bring back? Yeah, I think we will probably want CD on this team. I like the idea of getting CD still. Like, the Dallas side of the ball, like, this one is just much more difficult to stack, right? So if we really wanted to, we could put Diggs on this team. I don't know if it's completely necessary. I still like James Cook, but at 6,300, he's not going to grade out super well. We have Kincaid out there, 5,300, kind of in that same range of some of these other guys. Shakir, 3,800. Gabe Davis, 58,500. Like, there's not a ton to love on that side. Someone said Kincaid. I can maybe get down with some Kincaid. The role was basically the same even when Dawson Knox returned, right? So we like that. The upside there is he catches just a ton of balls, right? And game environment. I think that, like, Kincaid actually is a decent game environment play, I think. And now that McBride is so heavily owned, I think it gives us a nice little pivot, actually, to me. Like, McBride at 5,200, Kincaid at basically the same price at 3% the ownership. Okay, let's go Kincaid for sure. Is there anything else on the Dallas side we want to prioritize, or we want to go like an elite skinny stack here, or I guess elite bring back on this one? Anything else you guys want to make sure we get in here? Is the Gallup stuff intriguing at all at 3,300? Let's see what we can build around this. I think this is like one of the ones where I don't think this is the opposite of that other game. I think if we try and just capture a lot of the touchdowns with Josh Allen and CeeDee Lamb, that's kind of the play. And then we hope Kincaid gets there from a volume perspective in a high-flying game. I think let's just stick with this for the stack. We could probably get in CMC if we went really gross the rest of the way, but it's not easy, right? Like that's the downside of playing the Josh Allen and realistically the CD stuff. So if CMC's out, we're probably going to need to play both of the cheap guys. So we're probably going to need to play Zeke and Gibson on this. Where does that leave us at least? 4,600 the rest of the way. We need a couple wide receivers. We need a couple this could be one of those ones where we punt one of the tight end slots. That could make some sense, at least. What do you guys think? Debo? I don't know if we can fit Debo on this team. Can we? 7,700 is going to bury us. Unless we punted tight end with a 2 tight end team. I love Debo, but I don't think he fits this build, friends. We got Wandale, 3,700. We got Demario Douglas, 3,900. We got Demarcus Robinson, 3,600. We didn't get Robinson on that other team. McKinnon instead of Zeke in the same game as leverage. Interesting. Let me take a closer look at McKinnon here. 5,100. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, man. Just doesn't grade out very well. I think at that point, I'd rather play Jerome Ford for a little bit more. Like, it's not even grading out that well for leverage. Like, the cheap guys for leverage are like, well, I guess it's not so bad. I take that back. It's right up there, one of the cheaper ones. That makes sense. Jaden Reed for a decent, yeah. Let's at least put Reed in here. See what happens. If we went real weird and go Reed and Kraft together, 5,900 in this last slot. Like, if we just hope all the production goes to Reed and Kraft together in Green Bay, I think that's somewhat unique. So I don't hate that. 5,900. That I wish that got us to Rashee Rice. It does not. We could get McLaurin in there as a one-off, which I don't hate. We could add Gabe Davis to this. You guys have any preference there? Davis versus McLaurin? Thoughts? Or we could pay down for Robinson. We could. We didn't want to go that direction. We go Robinson here. Wandale or DeMarcus? Which Robinson are we talking about here? A lot of Davis in the chat. Seems like people like the other idea. The Davis stuff makes me nervous. Reeves is very bearish on Gabe Davis this week. Hyatt, DeMarcus. High flying game. Gives us a mini stack with Gibson and Robinson. I like the mini. That at least gets us to 5,300 in the flex, which gives us a lot more room, right? Could go like a Reed and Dobbs. We could double Kincaid with McBride. We could go Zeke and McKinnon if we really wanted to get weird in that game. There's options here, friends. There's options. So let's recap. We got Josh Allen to Kincaid, bringing it back with CeeDee Lamb. We got Gibson and DeMarcus Robinson mini stack. We got a Reed one-off. We got a Zeke one-off. Jets D. We are a little bit all over the place, but this is the type of lineup that is probably a little bit better for this field size anyway. Godwin is banged up, right? Godwin might not even play. So instead of doing the Reed Kraft, we could do a Reed Dobbs. What do we think about that? I like just like grabbing the, like if we like Love, we like this for the passing game, just like grabbing these together and just like having that combination of target share. We don't have to do mini stacks every time, guys. I think I prefer Dobbs to McKinnon. I think let's go with this. I like this one. I want to keep this moving so we can build one more team here. We did say that we were going to do a Case Keenum team, super team. So I think that'll be fun. Let's do that. So Keenum, let's go back to this. Okay, we have a background so I don't have an aneurysm. Case Keenum, this is definitely a McCaffrey team. Let's get a Browns D team in here since we actually have room for it. What else do we want? We don't have a McBride team yet, so let's get McBride over on the other side of McCaffrey since we have some salary. I like it. I like it. I always kind of wonder, like, can you play Debo with McCaffrey? It's kind of like a neutral correlation, right? McCaffrey actually correlates much better with Ayuk. Just much more difficult to do from a price perspective. The guy I don't think you can play with McCaffrey is George Kittle. So that's part of the reason that I went with McBride. Am I considering Aaron Jones today without Dylan? Not really on my radar, my man. I don't love it. I don't love it. We don't have a Kyron team yet either, so that seems bad. Okay, so we got Kyron now. We still don't have a Rashee Rice team, which seems kind of bad, but we're gonna have to find some value that we like here too. What if we did like a DeMario and Rice mini stack? Gives us some nice, I guess, a combination of salary here that is like a pretty decent mini stack. Gets us a little bit of leverage off of Zeke, I think. And then still leaves us with a decent amount of room, 5250 the rest of the way. A nuke bring back. The nuke bring back with Keenan is actually kind of interesting. I haven't played much Hopkins this year, if I'm being completely honest. But I don't hate that. What does that leave us with? 4,300 in the flex then. We're kind of in that Shaheed range again. It's gross, friends. That is not a fun range. If we go down to Jets, that should help. Gives us 1K. That gets us to Romeo Dobbs. That gets us Kincaid. That gets us Gibson. So are we unique enough to play Gibson on this team? I don't think so. Maybe. What do you guys think? McCaffrey, Kyron, Gibson, 3 chalky running backs. We got Hopkins in here. He's not going to be that low. He'll be like 15%. McBride's chalky. Yeah, I think that's too much chalk. I think that is a little bit too much chalk. We got to find at least one play here we like for leverage. Am I crazy? But is Greg Dortch in play with like Hollywood Brown so banged up at 4,100. We could upgrade something else. Is that a crazy take? We do have McBride in here, though, so that's probably not a great. It's D. Hember, though. Henry. Ooh. Let's have some fun here and see what happens if we go Henry instead. $4,600 wide receiver. This might fit better, guys, honestly. I think this fits better. So, like, how does Case Keenum get there at 4K? Throws a couple touchdown passes. We get a little bit of pace in this game. Maybe Henry breaks a big one, gets it back to Keenum. I actually kind of like that. Okay. We're kind of still in the same range for this last play, though. So we got Elijah Moore at 4,500. We talked about him before. I don't think that he's going to be that popular. That might fit a little bit better. We played Shaheed in the same range before. We could go Samuel at 4,600 to give us something with Kyron. That's probably the right play. Samuel Kyron mini. So we got Keenum, bring back with Henry. We got CMC and McBride mini stack. We got Kyron Williams and Curtis Samuel mini. We got Demario Douglas and Ray Rice mini. We literally built an entire team with only mini stacks. This might be the first time I've ever done that. That's kind of fun. We got the full mini stack team with a bunch of really good players. The Keenum teams are fun. We're here to have fun. Good stuff. All right, guys, quickly, before we get you out of here, make sure you guys check out all the newsletters we have now. There's links in the description. We got the football prop drop. We got the basketball prop drop. Of course, if you're just involved in the season-long fantasy stuff, we got the touchdown press, baseball prop drop, hockey prop drop. Before long, we're going to have props flying around everywhere for every sport, directly to your email inbox. Newsletter eats first. We do have one last poll for you guys before we get out of here. This is probably the most important poll of the entire week. What is a better tagline? I need a tagline. I'm big on branding and tagline. I don't want to sway you either way. So what's a better tagline here? We're talking about, in general, the fact that if you're on the newsletter, you're going to get these picks before anyone else. They do go out on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. But if I have a quick tagline, is it newsletter eats first or is it email eats first? Just a little bit of inspiration here is I just think it's funny. You guys ever have friends that like they go and they have to take pictures of their food constantly? It's like so annoying. But the whole thing is phone eats first. So this is like kind of inconclusive on Twitter. Newsletter slight edge. Newsletter eats first versus email eats first. 71 votes. I'm curious what you guys think though. You guys hanging out on a Sunday morning, that's the number one priority. So what's a better tagline here? We want to get more people into these streams, into the newsletter. Is it newsletter eats first or is it email eats first? What's a more fun tagline? What do you guys think? Exclamation point vote, space the number to place your vote. Last one here. Would appreciate your guys' feedback on this one. Let's let this one ride. We're neck and neck. Newsletter might be a little bit more intuitive versus email eats first. It's like kind of rides off the tongue a little bit better. I'm so torn on this. Newsletter eats first a thing. It's definitely going to be a thing. One of these is going to be a thing. We're going to force it. We got everyone just stealing our Noti-Gang stuff, so we need something of our own. Less syllables works best, number 2. I thought about that too, Brent. Email eats first. Newsletter eats first. Newsletter eats first. Email eats first. I feel like newsletter is harder to say, but it also makes more sense. Email eats first. I got to say this a lot, right? Like quickly. So, I don't know. Email has a betting ring to it, has a better ring to it, but you've been pushing the newsletter. I mean, the email is a newsletter. So, newsletter eats first. Looks like it's winning the poll here. I appreciate how many votes we're getting for this. I know a lot of people are bailing. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to let this ride a little bit and hang out. Force feed. Okay. I appreciate you guys. It looks like newsletter eats first. It's easier to say for some reason, but it is week 15, so I hope everyone just crushes it today. Gonna drop the rest of the bets on the profile on Twitter. All the giveaways, make sure you guys get into those. We do have a video to drop that I'm gonna finish up right after this. But run good, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Good talk.